Welcome to the Prophecy Club. We're going to be talking about Suitcase Nukes and the election rigging. That's right, rigging. I've written a letter, printed, signed, and overnighted letters from me and Leslie to President Trump. This is the letter. Dear President Trump, I believe you won the election. The evil Democrats cheated and stole the election. I ask you to demand a recount of all 50 states and hard, fast justice to be served to those who broke the law. And I'm overnighting that, and I encourage you to do the same thing. America and Donald Trump needs our prayers, but in this case, he needs our letters, and he needs them tomorrow to be able to take to the Supreme Court to call a nationwide recount of the votes. This comes to us from Hal Turner, and yes, I'm going to read fast because I got a lot of stuff to cover. It says, voting software company whistleblowers come forward, claim their software changed 38 million votes and stole the election. 3 employees of the voting machine software company, whose name I'm not going to say because I don't want to get taken off, whose products were used in multiple U.S. states for the recent election, have come forward and are blowing the whistle about outright election theft, perpetrated through their company's voting software. The crux of their testimony, software switched or simply erased more than 38 million votes. According to the intelligence community sources, software vote switching was the Democrats' first weapon of choice. Mail-in voting was the second weapon of choice. That's why they froze all the counting on election night. The software wasn't giving them the desired outcome. So they resorted to having vans full of pre-filled out ballots delivered in the night. Rudy Giuliani, the president's attorney, says the 3 whistleblowers have come forward and are willing to testify under oath as to what took place. What we're beginning to see is evidence of the biggest scandal in the history of the United States, an attempted theft of the presidency and the criminal nullification of literally millions of citizens' votes. Next headline, forensic evidence. How voting software stole the presidency for JB. And you know who JB is. Forensic evidence. The presidential election held in the United States on November 3rd was literally stolen by computer software designed to do exactly that. We have the forensic evidence and the manufacturer's actual software proving these facts. Take a look at the snippet of computer programming code in the image below, which of course I can't show you on radio. This computer software is what was inside the voting machine system used in the November 3rd election. The software was grabbed by computer hackers, reverse compiled, and then analyzed to see what it revealed. His computer technicians says, yep, we know what this is. Here's the explanation. What you're seeing is the image above is the crime. It is how votes were weighted to systematically decrease votes for President Trump while also systematically increasing votes for JB. Now, it's several paragraphs of details. You need to actually see this to believe it, to understand it, so I'm going to skip that part. In the software, each scan was prior to the next proven by a timestamp. At the end of the election, all votes were then totalized. Now multiple total votes for Trump's final percentage of the scan. The value of Trump votes goes down at the same time JB's goes up, essentially. We're going to skip to the next one. Switched and deleted too. Elsewhere in the computer software are error logs in the voting system. These logs capture incidents where something the software did was an error. While the error log does not correct the error, it notes the date and time of the error and what was done in general sense which caused the error. Some of these, quote, error logs recorded that at various points, entire vote tally databases were, listen to this, overwritten. That means all original data was wiped out and replaced by the new file. A quick analysis of these error log entries shows that at numerous locations vote totals were completely wiped out and a completely new database of vote totals overwrote the real data. Fortunately, there are places on the internet where the actual vote totals were stored, and those storage places were not secured. So the actual voting machine is out there in the open for folks who know where to look to find it. Well, some of the people he knows knew where to look and found it. What they found was, in every case where votes were switched, they went from Trump to JB. In every case where votes were deleted, they were deleted from Trump. Bottom line, at least 500,000 votes were switched from Trump to JB. At least another 2.8 million votes for Trump were simply deleted. The U.S. election was stolen, he says. Flexible fraud. The vote software programmers knew they could not simply rely on software to steal the election. They knew it was possible for a whole, which, by the way, probably what happened in 2016. So they planned for a whole new slew of voters to show up at polling places where the software might not cover for them, and then they would have van loads of ballots. They knew it was possible for a whole slew of voters to show up at polling places, more voters than the software might account for. They also knew that there could end up being even more Trump mail-in ballots than they anticipated, so they planned for that. They wrote, quote, calls into the software so they could actually go in and adjust the vote totals they needed. This instructed the voting tabulation computers to go to an outside source to get different vote totals or to accept, quote, manual input of new vote totals as election eve rolled on, meaning they simply changed the ballots in the computer. It's not that hard to figure out. Now, he goes on here with a whole lot of actual details. Wisconsin, 53,000 people dead, but they voted. He gives all the details to it. And in this case, yeah, you probably want to go to halturnerradioshow.com and read all of this. Whistleblowers come forward. Former Mayor of New York City, attorney Rudy Giuliani confirms that employees from within the software company have come forward and are willing to testify under oath that their software was specifically designed to be able to steal elections. And if I'm going to get where I need to go in this broadcast, I've got to skip a whole lot of that. HalTurnerRadioShow.com. You do want to see this. Again, I'm encouraging you to write a letter, overnight it, to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., and send it to President Trump demanding a recount of all 50 states. You see, America needs our prayers, and so does our president. But in this case, he also needs our letters, and he needs them tomorrow to take to the Supreme Court to call a nationwide recount of the votes. So when the Dems see President Trump has really won, what are they going to do? They will conclude that their last attempt to stop this guy, and that means to stop their arrest and conviction from some really bad crimes, they're going to pull out their Sunday punch. They're going to pull out the straw that broke the camel's back. They're going to pull out the last resort. And what is that? Well, Benjamin Fulford was told that they said, we have ruled the world for thousands of years, and we will destroy it rather than give it up. So let me go back through, since we have a lot of new listeners, in case you're not aware of this. Yes, we believe that there's anywhere from 20 to 50 suitcase nukes that were brought into America back in the 90s that are still here, and the prophecies that I'm about to read will say that they're going to be set off in November 2020. That's what the prophecy says, in my opinion. That's my interpretation of it. So let's go to the suitcase nukes. November 1998, Stanislav Lunev, the highest-ranking Russian military officer ever to defect from Russia, made a Prophecy Club DVD, which you can watch at watchprophecyclub.com, called Russian Defector Warns America. In this video, he stated that he was actually part of a team of people looking for places to hide these 50 lost in Russia suitcase nuclear bombs, which have been smuggled in the United States. And you can verify this by going to Wikipedia. May 5th, 2003, Michael Boldea, grandson of Dmitry Duduman, had a dream called Season of Sorrow, in which he was shown suitcase nukes going off in California, Illinois, Michigan, Arizona, Washington State, Florida, and New York. Dmitry said to him, these are the places where those were sent here long ago to bring fear and cause chaos have situated themselves. They lie in wait, planning and plotting destruction. They are as coiled serpent, looking forward to the day and hour they will be loosed upon this nation. But if God's children pray, once more he will delay the season of sorrow that is yet to come. My count, he has already delayed that season of sorrow 3 times. But brothers and sisters, we can't give up. I'm asking you right now, for the rest of the month of November, and really between now and March 27th, we've got to pray every day that God will cause those suitcase nukes to be found, dismantled, and hard, fast, swift justice brought to the people that plan to use them. Every day we must pray. That's what I'm calling you for. Do not forget to pray that those suitcase nukes are removed and discovered and they don't go off. We don't want them to go off. January 9th, 2005, I was shown in a dream, I call it the next 9/11 attack, would be a series of suitcase nuclear explosions all across America. International bankers would be using sophisticated bombs, experts in several cities, with one hitting a regional bank, destroying the records and backups. This would put billions of dollars into the hands of the international bankers and throw the U.S. economy into a freefall. 2005, former Congressman Kurt Weldon, vice chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, uncovered a plot to set explosives in 10 cities. He could not get the authorities to act, so he published it in a book I have called Countdown to Terror. He said the 10 cities were Valdez, Alaska, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Boston, New York City, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Chicago, Miami, Houston, and October 15, 2004, in a dream summarized as The Eagle and the Serpents. Michael Boldea was shown an eagle killed by 3 serpents. He was told the first bite was 9/11. The second bite would be much worse than the first and would come from an unknown area, as in, like, I think, suitcase nukes, and the third bite would be our final destruction. February 2013, Doug Metzger made a Prophecy Club DVD called Will You Survive America's Fall, also available instantly at watchprophecyclub.com. He said he was shown a vision of suitcase nukes hitting Los Angeles, New York, Las Vegas, Washington, D.C., Chicago, San Francisco, Houston, Seattle, Orlando, Dallas, Atlanta, and Denver. Bible says, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. In this case, we have 8 of those witnesses saying this is established. Now let's go to Coverstone. August 24, 2020. He said, I saw in the dream a calendar. It was turned in the month of November. What month? November. What month is this? November. As in, this, my brothers and sisters, is saying, in my opinion, now Coverstone does not say this. This is my opinion of what the interpretation of the dream is showing. In my opinion, it's saying that if we do not pray, the suitcase nukes will go off in the month of November. Now, that's the reason I'm asking everybody to pray. I believe that we can soften or delay, and hopefully we can remove away these suitcase nukes. But we must pray. This is not a joke. When you got 8 verifications, 8 people say there's suitcase nukes in your nation, you're in trouble. You're in trouble up to your eyeballs. I saw a calendar. It was turned in the month of November and had shadows flickering all over it. Well, that word flickering was also mentioned in several of the other prophecies by the other people. The actual word flickering. I believe it's suitcase nukes going off. I saw a light in the sky, a very large bright light. Well, that's nuclear. A bright light, then darkness. What darkness? Well, darkness because when a suitcase nuke goes off or when a nuclear event happens, it sends out an EMP, and that EMP fries all of the computer chips that are fairly close to it. Now, we've since learned it does not fry cell phones and some of the smaller items. Even a generator is okay, but your house, your car, things like that, all gone. And it doesn't just put the computer chip to sleep and it wakes up in a couple of weeks. No, it fries it. It is totally dead, never to come back to life again. But there is a solution. You can find out about it by going to empshield.com. And if you'd like to help Prophecy Club with that, then you put in the word prophecy. That's the promo code. empshield.com, prophecy. My suggestion, my recommendation is you need to have it installed, in my opinion, installed as soon and as fast as you possibly can. I got one on my house, one on each of my cars. Because when the suitcase nukes go off, I said when, not if, but I'm still praying that it's an if. I'm praying that it doesn't happen. But if they go off, I want my car to run. I was turned in the month of November and had shadows flickering all over it. I saw a light in the sky, very large, bright light, then darkness. I began to make out through the dawn's haze and fog that many of the Americans were in emergency shelters. There seemed to be snow on the ground. What's that? That's radiation. That's nuclear fallout. Seemed to be snow on the ground, but it was dirty and gray, almost like ash. Well, because it was ash. There were people huddled together and shivering. Individuals were lying on cots, suitcases all over the place, and desperate looks on the faces of almost everyone. There were encouragers in the crowds. That's us, okay? That's us prophecy students. That's us that can give them an answer, can explain what happened. Look, how many people are talking about Suitcase Nukes? I don't know, but no one sent me an email saying anybody else is talking about Suitcase Nukes about to go off in this nation. I think this is the only voice doing it. If you know of somebody else talking about Suitcase Nukes about to go off, send me an email to askstan@prophecyclub.com. My guess is I won't get any emails. There were encouragers in the crowds, all wearing crosses. They stood out emotionally from everyone else because they had hope. And I'm going to say not only they had hope, they had answers. They could teach people about Bible prophecy. They'd explain to them what is going on. They were ready, and they were pointing them to Jesus Christ. They had hope. They had smiles on their faces. They were checking on people and trying to show patience and kindness, but there were times when they were met with anger and told to go away. But the encouragers just kept doing what they were doing despite the manifested upset of several in the shelters. Some businesses were shuttered in the big cities. Well, duh, we just saw that last week. I saw gas stations that looked as if they'd just been walked away from. Well, why would they walk away from gas stations? Well, for one, they don't have any electricity to pump the gasoline out of the ground, and two, nobody has a car that's running to speak of, so we don't need any gasoline. I saw headlines that read, "Shock and awe in the U.S." Okay, when's the last time we heard shock and awe? Well, that would be the night that we were supposed to invade Saddam Hussein, and they said what you're about to see is shock and awe. So those words, shock and awe, are specific words to the United States referring to bombs. So when it says, I saw headlines that read shock and awe in the U.S., it's saying nuclear devices, or at least bombs, went off in America. It's saying bombs went off in America. Now, I asked Coverstone, I said, do you know about Suitcase Nukes? No. How many people know about Suitcase Nukes? Just the Prophecy Club people. Because I'm the only one weird enough and brave enough to just tell you the truth about the matter. I saw headlines that read shock and awe in the U.S., as well as one that read, UN steps in to help host nation. UN steps in? Well, what did Terry Bennett say? He said, I saw the military has to take over because of all the chaos. As well, one read, UN step. By the way, here's something else. You need to send this out to all your friends, neighbors, and relatives. You need to click like, share, and subscribe. You need to get this out to all of your friends. Help us reach more people. As well as one that read, UN steps in to help host nation. There was a large amount of quiet over the country. Well, why? Because the electricity's off. Electricity goes off. 2 or 3 days later, there's no water coming out the faucet. 2 or 3 days later, all of the food in the refrigerator and the freezers have reached room temperature, so you get to gorge for a day or so. Then you have to throw it out. Well, that explains the next phrase, because it says there was a large amount of quiet over the country, almost as if it had not awakened fully from a bad dream. What's going on there? Because it takes 2 or 3 weeks of people waking up every morning to discover this is not a bad dream. They simply cannot believe that the rapture has not come to get them. They cannot believe that anything bad has actually come to America, which is part of the problem. The nation was fitful and suspicious and leery of what was coming next and very hesitant. It was like they were expecting something to happen. The sun was shining behind the clouds, but was not out yet. When the white figure appeared, this is the angel that comes to speak to him, when the angel figure appeared and said, remain braced as this calm comes before a gathering storm that recovery will have a hard time finding. Remain braced as this calm comes before a gathering storm that recovery will have a hard time finding. Notice it said that twice. That means, again, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. And by the way, Coverstone did have another dream, and I believe it is also talking about the Suitcase Nukes, but I probably won't have time to get to it today. What I do want to say is, in my opinion, this is saying that unless we pray, and we've already prayed, but in that Coverstone, the other things he said I don't have time to get into, I think it's going to be pretty tough to pray this way, but we better try. We better really be praying about these Suitcase Nukes, because the interpretation is that November, America is going to be hit with Suitcase Nukes. Will it happen? Well, not if my prayers are answered, and I'm going to say not if your prayers are answered, not if a whole bunch of people's prayers are answered. I'm telling you, this particular video, you got to send it out to everybody. You got to send it out. You got to tell them. I don't care. You got to listen to this one. You got to listen to this one all the way to the end. I mean, look, even my friends that know me, some of them find this difficult to believe. But I'm telling you, suitcase nukes go off. That's saying we didn't pray enough. Just like the other Coverstone dream, the angel spoke and said, now it's up to you, church. Whether the suitcase nukes hit or whether they don't, well, it's like the old saying says, if it is to be, it is up to me. Meaning, if they hit, it's our fault. We were warned. I'll be agreeing that not very many people believed it, but we were warned. Let me refresh your memory on this. What the interpretation is saying, in November, there's going to be flickering, a bright light that turns to darkness, emergency shelters filled with crowds of shaking, scared, cold, hungry people. That's when we prophecy students are going to go to work. We're going to be pointing them to Jesus. I believe that because the judgment hit, I believe we're going to see miracles like no one going back to Adam and Eve has seen. And God is going to be doing mighty miracles through our mouth, through our hands, through our prayers, like we've never, ever, ever seen. It's not about surviving this. It's about building the kingdom of God. And in that, when the angel said, remain braced, as this calm, that's calm? Calm when suitcase nukes go off? Yes, that's the calm, because soon Russia's going to attack right around the corner. So it says remain braced or prepared as this calm comes before a gathering storm, meaning it's going to get worse before it gets better. Remain braced as this calm comes before a gathering storm that recovery will have a hard time finding. Remain braced as this calm comes before a gathering storm that recovery will have a hard time finding. It's saying that we can recover from it. Another Coverstone dream said that, but it's not going to be easy. I'm saying right now, from what the Lord spoke to my heart last night, not an audible voice, okay? He just laid on my heart, talk about suitcase nukes. That's what you need to talk about today, suitcase nukes. So if you believe in Jesus, if you believe that there is any possibility that what I'm saying from these eight people that don't even know each other, confirmed by Coverstone, if you believe these guys, if you believe Coverstone, then you got to say, okay, the interpretation is truly that there could be a possibility of suitcase nukes going off. A, I'm asking you to pray they don't. B, I'm asking you to spread this around. I'm talking this needs to go viral. I'm not talking 20,000. I'm not talking 200,000. This needs to go to a couple of million people. The day after these suitcase nukes hit, it's going to be too late to send it out then. Oh, yeah, I could have told you about the suitcase nukes. Then why didn't you? Why didn't you? Why didn't you tell me? You knew this was coming? I suggest braced means get prepared. Get prepared on our heart to where it doesn't shake us. Instead, when this hits, we're ready to go to work. We're ready to go out and win souls and see those sevenfold miracles come at our prayers. It also means that we need to be preparing. Ask ourselves, if martial law is declared, you can't leave your house for 3 or 4 months. Can't. Military law, can't leave your house. Stay in your house. Maybe it's another virus. I don't know. Stay in your house for 3 or 4 months. Do you have water? Do you have heat? Do you have that problem solved? And if you need some kind of water filter, I guess I should mention, we just got a big order of Berkey water filters, which if you want them, I'm told that I should have you call the office, 785-266-1112. 785-266-1112. Big Berkeys in stock. We can ship them to you today, even overnight them, if you want them overnighted. Berkey water filters. Matter of fact, I like the Crown. I recommend the Crown. But anyway, call 785-266-1112 for a Berkey water filter. It's the only one I recommend. There's not another one I would recommend. Second, I think you should have some answer to when the electricity goes off. What are you going to do? Food, water, a way to cook. No electricity probably means that there's not any natural gas flowing down the pipes. Do you have a solution, a way to heat your house? Do you have food? Do you have water? You need to think it through. If you want to have precious metals, we recommend cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Mention Prophecy Club. I would recommend you go to empshield.com and see what they can do to help you to get your car so it'll still run, your house so it'll still work. empshield.com. Promo code there is prophecy. You can get that, which, by the way, Heaven's Harvest just told me they got another new shipment in, heavensharvest.com. Promo code there, STAN. This is what I'm impressed to tell you. Right now, big thing we need to pray for, suitcase nukes. Pray for our president, pray for our nation, and pray against suitcase nukes. When a nuclear device goes off, it produces an EMP electromagnetic pulse, and it fries every computer chip unless they're protected. The good news is EMPshield.com has devices a military testing facility says are 100% accurate to protect against EMP, solar flares, lightning, power surges backed by a 10-year warranty and a $25,000 insurance policy. And they come with simple installation instructions for home, vehicles, RV, and electric generators. You can have electricity in a blackout. EMPshield.com. Use the promo code PROPHECY for a $50 gift card. This helps Prophecy Club. That's EMPshield.com. Promo code PROPHECY for a $50 gift card. EMPshield.com. EMPshield.com. October 7th, 2020, Prophet Andre Bronkhorst prophesied that God will give us a new church building because he's about to send us a lot of people. He said, "Feed my lambs." This will allow us to have miracle crusades, School of the Prophets, Bible prophecy seminars, deliverance meetings, and a lot more. Realtors tell us we're probably talking between $2 and $3 million for the building we need. If your heart is with us and God has blessed you, we could certainly use your help. The Spirit of Prophecy Church and Prophecy Club is in need of a new home. If you can help, go to prophecyclub.com, click on the Building Forward link, and donate to help us get a new building. In 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I was shown a secret door linking the feasts to the prophecies of Revelation. For the first time, the book of Revelation can be put in correct chronological order. You can understand Bible prophecy. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 5. 1 for 20, but don't do that. 5 for 35 or 10 for 60. What is the most important information to every beating heart on the globe? After accept Jesus, it would be don't take the mark of the beast. Those taking the mark of the beast do not get soul death, but are tormented in the lake of fire and brimstone for eternity. How do you tell them? Give them miss the mark. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 10. 1 for 20, 10 for 30, and 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. Over the past 32 years, I've collected the best 101 prophecies from Dimitri Duduman, Michael Boldea, Leslie Johnson, Henry Gruber, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Marie Sklar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, and more. It's called God's Warnings for America. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 5. 1 for 20, but don't do that. 5 for 35 or 10 for 60. My new book is called Tribulation, Secrets in Daniel because that's what it does. It shows you the part of Daniel you need to know, being you're about to be a tribulation saint and will desperately need to know and understand about the last days you live in. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 10. 1 for 20, 10 for 30, and 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. In How Pre-Trib 1, I expose the dirty little secrets pastors don't want you to know, which is why sometimes they can't preach the truth, especially about the rapture. Then, using the secret door, I explain the truth about the rapture and rebut 25 claims pre-tribbers use to prove pre-trib. You'll finally know the truth about the rapture. We offer it in shrink-wrap sets of 10. 1 for 20, but don't do that. 10 for 30, 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. That's prophecyclub.com. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is owned by a prophecy student who reads his King James Bible and supports Prophecy Club. Call CornerstoneAssetMetals.com for gold, silver, palladium, rhodium bars, or coins. They can help you roll over your IRA, 401k, so tell CornerstoneAssetMetals.com Prophecy Club sent you. Click like, share, and subscribe.